Do y'all follow me? Same thing the British did in China with the opium wars. I know marijuana is safer than alcohol and cigarettes put together. I did a research on marijuana. I know it's safe. But psychologically, it's going to put us to sleep. And that's why I'm against it. And that's why they want to legalize it. Why do you think they want to legalize marijuana all through the Caribbean? To make the population docile. Chemical warfare. And then what they do, they spray the drugs with neurological agents. And so now you all messed up psychologically by the time you're 40. You schizophrenic and everything because the FBI sprays the damn marijuana. That's why I'm against it. I ain't got no problem with it for spiritual purposes if you're using it for that. But somebody using marijuana to cope with depression, they're going to become an addict. And you know what happens to marijuana after a long time? You lose it, you use it so long, it slows down your body. It slows down your motor reaction. It slows down your neurological process. It destroys your memory. It ain't going to cause cancer. In fact, it can even work against cancer. But it destroys your life because you're addicted. Some of y'all know you've been on marijuana so long, you can't tell when they're not high. After 10 years on weed, you always look high, don't you? They be like this. Damn, you been smoking? Nah, man. I ain't had that in 2 weeks. You see, I know what I'm talking about. We all got friends and weed. Everybody like, is he high? And then the cops pull them over. Cops think you high. You not high, but you got the high look all day. Eyes be lazy as hell. You. I won't work at your school. Could I work with the black boys? Last one. Oh. False confessions. There's a bill in New York. I don't know if they're going to make it federal, where they want to give people who falsely confess to a crime plea bargain a chance to sue the state for making you confess to something you didn't do. Remember, a lot of us take plea bargains, right? What percentage of criminal cases in America are plea bargains? 95%. Now, the Constitution says you got a right to what? Due process, fair trial, and adequate representation. Adequate representation. If you get adequate representation, why are we taking plea bargains? Because we can't afford decent representation. The lawyers are pimps. Even the black lawyers, a lot of them are pimps. Right? They want $5,000, $10,000 and can't even guarantee that they're going to beat your damn case. You see? So, and then they come and you say, what? Take the plea bargain, you get 5 years. If you don't take the plea bargain, they're going to come after you with everything, and you might end up doing your whole life in jail. So if I was you, I'd take the damn plea bargain. Y'all see that? And then once you take the plea bargain, you can never reverse it no more. That's why we got to have our grassroots credit union, y'all, because when a brother get locked up, he say, look, y'all, I need some help. I ain't got no money. Okay, brother, this is what you're going to do. You're going to put X amount down, and we're going to put you on a payment plan. We got to be able to help our own, y'all. And I ain't talking about the brothers who doing wrong. I'm talking about the ones who wasn't even guilty and got framed up on some stuff and was so scared that they was going to get the whole sentence that they took the plea. They took the plea. All they had was a public pretender. Now, this is what I want to say in my final 15 minutes. I want to talk about Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. When we talk about Garveyism, we can break it down in a crash course to about 7 or 8 fundamental principles. Is Garveyism Pan-Africanism? It is a form of Pan-Africanism. But Pan-Africanism predates Marcus Garvey. Remember, Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad, Marcus Garvey did not invent that. Martin Delany invented Africa for the Africans before Marcus Garvey was born. But Marcus Garvey added for those at home and those abroad. You see? So there's the continuity of that. Was Marcus Garvey the first Pan-Africanist to put ships on the water? No. Okay? We had other Pan-Africanists before Marcus Garvey to put ships on the water. Was he the first to say that some of us should go back to Africa to build it up? No. None of Marcus Garvey's ideas were really new. What made Marcus Garvey great, he was the first one to build a mass movement around those ideas. So you had other Pan-Africans with these ideas, but they couldn't get the people to support it. Garvey was able to get the people to get behind Pan-Africanism. As Garveyites, we believe what? That you should identify with your Africanity. We are serious about identifying with our continent of origin. Regardless of where we are or where we came from, we know where the origin is. Even the Human Genome Project has proved what? Every person on earth has their origin in Nile Valley culture and civilization. So we believe in African identity. We also believe in what? Race pride. Only in Garveyism do we put a premium on being proud to be African. You might know your history, but are you proud of your history? You might know your culture, but we are proud of it. We wear it on our sleeve because we're self-respecting. So there must be African race pride, there must be African identity, there must be Pan-African unity. We mean what? We mean that all Africans are one family. Whether you live in Nigeria or North Philly, whether you live in Detroit or Durban, South Africa, you are still Africans. Whether you speak Spanish or English, Muslim or Christian, you still Africans. We don't put borders between each other. So the fact you come from Nigeria and they come from Detroit means nothing. That's still family. Jamaica, Los Angeles, don't matter. Family. Muslim, Christian, Hebrew, Moor, God, Earth, Nawapian, still family. We believe in race first. Put your people first. Race first says we African before we Muslims. We African before we Christians. We African before we Zetas. We African before we Deltas. We African before we Omegas. We African before we Kappas. We African before we are Masons. African first. Nothing comes before the people. Race is first. But some of y'all believe in this integrated human family. Some of y'all can't put black people first because you've been trained to put everybody first. Well, if you put everybody first, you ain't giving your child a head start. Marcus Garvey said what? The Jew is first the Jew. The white man is a white man before he's a Catholic or a Christian. He's white first. Arabs might be Muslims or Christians, but they Arabs first. We got to be Africans first. Garveyism says what? That we must build ourselves up into a strong, organized government. A nation whose headquarters should be where? On the continent. Now, this is what separates Garveyism from other types of Pan-Africanism. Because those of us who are Garveyites believe that the government of the people should be home where it belongs, in the kingdom of Africa. We differ from other groups. If you belong to the Republic of New Africa, they say they want to build a New Africa in America. They say they want to give the United States to give us a couple of states in the South, but we're going to build up. Nation of Islam, give us a couple of states in the South, but we're going to build up. We say we respect that, but it's nonsense. Because a sovereign nation is never going to allow another sovereign nation in its borders. You'll never get the states. Civil war was fought to keep white people from getting a separate country. What makes you think you get one? Furthermore, why the hell do you want to be landlocked around a bunch of crackers anyway? So for Pan-Africans, we say we can live all around the world. For Garveyites, we say we can live all around the world, but the government will be in Africa. Why do you want to give up the richest piece of land to everybody else? Chinese people can't stay out of Africa. Always going to steal and rob. White man is there. East Indian is there. The East Indian runs South Africa, damn it. And the only people who want nothing to do with Africa is Africans in America. You can do without. I don't want to see it. I don't want nothing Africa got. And by doing that, you let all the other foreign powers come in and invade and exploit. We are Africa's answer, but we don't even know it. Garveyism says we got to have what? Universal. We got to have Pan-African political power that reaches beyond the borders of where we live. So for us, we don't see borders. We deal on the global level. We look at the condition of all African people because we are interconnected. We disagree with people who say, well, Dr. Umar, I understand we Africans and all that, but don't we got to get the Black America thing together first? We disagree. We say the black American thing will not work unless it's working alongside the African thing at the same time. It's a chessboard. We playing chess when we should be playing checkers when we should be playing chess. We say that there must be independent economic power. We got to have our own hospitals, our own schools, our own factories, our own programs for our senior citizens, our own birthing clinics. We got to have our own health care. We believe in our own. The next principle of Garveyism is what, y'all? Self-reliance. Whatever must be done for Africans must be done by Africans with no outside help. It is not about hating white people. We don't hate nobody else, but we know that you could never care about us more than we care about ourselves. And we know that white folks will never go against their people for us. Why would you let a natural spy into your organization? Furthermore, even if they're a good white person, black people have the Jesus complex. If a white person comes in a black organization, subconsciously, we will begin to depend on them because we were conditioned to do so. So we don't take money from the government. We don't take money from white philanthropists. We're not looking for grants because we don't want nobody telling us what the hell to do. Anything that got to be done, we do it ourselves. That's another controversial tenet of Garveyism, because a lot of other Pan-Africanists will take money from the white man. Some of y'all think you can use the white man's money against the white man. Impossible. I didn't say if you get the grant that you should get it. I'm saying that if you're using your money for an after-school program, rites of passage, reading camp, I don't have a problem. I'm saying don't you get into grants when you're trying to lead a revolutionary movement. That's what I'm talking about. If a sister got a program, she gets some money from the city to work with some children, you do that. You don't stop that because ain't nobody else doing it. But I'm saying when we talk about building a credit union, we're not relying on white money for that. We talk about building an independent school for our kids, we're not relying on white money for that. You got to know when to use your own dollar. I remember W.E.B. Du Bois once told Marcus Garvey what? He said, look at this guy. He calls himself the Provisional President of Africa, which was a title that Marcus was bestowed upon the Honorable Marcus Garvey. He was elected Provisional President of Africa at a convention in New York City, 1920. Same year that we got the red, black, and green flag. And W.E.B. Du Bois said, look at Marcus Garvey. He calls himself the Provisional President of Africa. And look at his headquarters. It's a half-finished church. Marcus Garvey said, I would rather own a half-finished church than be working downtown Manhattan in an office financed by Jews. Du Bois couldn't stand Marcus Garvey. Why? Because Du Bois felt he had the natural right to be the next leader. After Booker T. Washington died, and Du Bois couldn't stand Booker T. Remember that? He said, Booker T., you are a sellout. All you want to do is teach black people how to build buildings and clean houses and fix plumbing. And Booker T. Washington said, you up there fighting for political rights. You don't understand that your politics is related to your economics. Some of y'all didn't know what he was talking about. Look around us now. These Arabs out here in Dearborn, do you see them running for president of the United States? Or they even trying to be mayor? Hell no, I'll run the economics. What did Rockefeller say about the money? He said, give me control of the money, and I don't care who makes the laws. That's what Booker T was trying to teach W.E.B. Du Bois. See, W.E.B. Du Bois, y'all, he did some good things, but he also did some terrible things. He hated Marcus Garvey because he felt that because he was biracial and had a doctorate from Harvard, that he should naturally be the leader. He thought he was more qualified than Booker because Booker went to Hampton and he went to Harvard. He was an arrogant, nasty snob. And after Booker T died, Du Bois said, I'm the next great black leader. I had to wait for Frederick Douglass to die. I had to wait for Booker T to die. I got next. Only one problem. Booker T died in 1915. Harriet Tubman died in 1914. Booker T died in 1915. Right before Du Bois assumed the leadership, Marcus Garvey shows up from Jamaica, off the banana boat with the king's accent, saying, up you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. Took Du Bois' thunder overnight. Organized more black people in days than we've seen organized in years. Marcus Garvey had a quality that a lot of black leaders didn't have then, don't have now. He had the ability to simultaneously be a leader and an organizer. He had the ability to do both. Some people can lead, but they can't organize. Some people can organize, but they can't lead. Mr. Muhammad was a brilliant man, but he was not a good organizer. The Nation of Islam didn't grow till Malcolm got there. Malcolm was the organizer. Elijah was the leader. Most people can't do both. You see this all through history. All through history. Dr. King wasn't the organizer. Dr. King was the leader. It was the pastors in the Montgomery bus boycott who organized the people and put Dr. King in front. But then Dr. King developed his organizing ability, then he was able to do both at the same time. So the boy felt that he had to destroy Garvey. The boy was a member of the NAACP. He was the editor of the Crisis magazine and used the Crisis magazine to attack everything Garvey was doing. Do you know it was the boy that the government sent to Liberia to disrupt Marcus Garvey's program to relocate Africans back home? The boy went over there and poisoned the minds of the leaders of the Liberian government to turn against Marcus Garvey. The boy asked the United States government to give him some ships so he could compete with the Black Star Line. And for the record, Mr. Garvey never led a Back to Africa movement. The media made that up. Mr. Garvey said only those who are willing to go back to help build up Africa should go back. He never said everybody should go back home. That is a lie. There was never a Back to Africa movement. Marcus Garvey said, some of you are no good here, and likewise you will be no good there. Could you imagine what would happen if we put a big ship in Detroit Harbor and put all the blacks in Detroit and roll up on a ship and took your ass to West Africa? Do you know how much problems we would start? You got Negroes with perms, weeds, white lights, basketballs, and iPods. And you going to Africa. As soon as you get there, you wouldn't know where you can get some food stamps. Are you serious? Them Africans go crazy on us. Everybody be macheted to death. Remember, we got to be careful when we go back to Africa. Because our brothers and sisters went back to Sierra Leone. They oppressed the Africans who was there. Our brothers who went back to Liberia, sent back by the American Colonization Society, they went back and started a war with the indigenous Africans. Look at this. They wanted to get away from the white man, but didn't realize they had the white man inside of them. And so when they got to Africa and Liberia, they had to fight wars between indigenous Africans and ex-slaves coming back home who felt that because I was a slave to the white man, I got a right to be in charge. I was in Liberia last January. Do you know right now in Liberia, if you have an English last name like Johnson or Williams, you get status because it's assumed that you are a descendant of the Africans who came back from America. So you're put on a privileged pedestal. But if you have an indigenous African name, you get looked down upon in your own land. This is still going on now. There's a mistrust between descendants of indigenous Africans and those who came back after slavery. So Africans have a right to be mistrusting of us because they know what the hell some of us did to them. You got to work with them. Earn that trust back. That's why those of you who go on the trip to me to Ghana, we're going to have some webinars for y'all. Because we got to get you right. Certain things you don't do is considered disrespectful. For example, if we're going to eat up in the village, we likely got to eat together. They bring the plate of food out, all on one big plate. There are no separate plates. A lot of times they eat with their hands. Okay? So if you go over there acting like a damn European Negro-pean, when they bring the plate out there, you're looking for forks and spoons and shit. Okay? Fingers! Because I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. They're going to study how you deal with their food. Because food is personal. And the way you deal with their food, let them know whether you're a Negro or an African. I'm telling you, you will fail the test. Marcus Garvey originally came to America to do what? Meet with Booker T. He didn't come here to stay. Marcus Garvey said, I want to open up a Tuskegee Institute in Jamaica. I'm coming to meet with Booker. He gets to America. Booker T just died. He goes to Tuskegee. He meets with R.R. Moulton, who was Booker T's vice president, who became president of Tuskegee after Booker T died. What did we find out later about R.R. Moulton? Undercover agent for the United States Army. You say, Dr. Umar, I had agents back then? Yes. In fact, we can make the argument that the first agent wasn't used on Garvey. We can make the argument that the first agent was used on Booker T. And why did they send R.R. Moulton to Booker T? Because Booker T. Washington was using Tuskegee as a hideout for black revolutionaries. The same man that some of y'all been told was a sellout used to let black revolutionaries come hide out at Tuskegee. Does that sound like a sellout to you? Booker T. Washington paid for civil rights cases out of his own pocket. He would pay the lawyers to fight for the improvement of blacks throughout America. Does that sound like a sellout to you? Did Du Bois do that? Booker T. Washington used to have conferences for Africans from Africa. He would bring them to Tuskegee, train them how to build, send them back to Africa to build infrastructure for their country. He started the African American Business League. Does that sound like a sellout to you? Problem with Booker T is Booker T was using strategy. He used strategy. He said, I'm not going to come out and tell these crackers what I think about them. I'm going to make them think I'm a yes man so I can keep my school running. I'm going to make them think I'm a yes man so I can hide out these revolutionaries. I'm going to make them think I'm a yes man so I can fight for the empowerment of Africa. You misunderstood him. Just like you misunderstood Dr. King. You think Dr. King really believed in nonviolence? That was a strategy. What did we find out after Dr. King died? We found out from some of Dr. King's colleagues that the Southern Christian Leadership Conference had stockades of weapons and rifles in case they had to go to war. Does that sound like somebody who believes in nonviolence to you? Why did Dr. King have guns if he believed in nonviolence? He ain't trusting Christ. But you gotta understand that when a leader comes before the public, he might got to say some things that throw his enemy off. You don't take that verbatim. It's strategy. Just like when the white man comes before you, he says some things to throw you off. It's called strategy. Marcus Garvey read Booker T. Washington's Up From Slavery. That was the book that motivated Garvey to build a racial movement. Marcus Garvey had traveled the world before he started the UNIA. He said, I searched everywhere for the black man's king, the black man's queen, the black man's kingdom. Where's his government? Where's his military? Where's his men of high affairs? Mosiah said, I didn't find it nowhere. Everywhere I went, Costa Rica, England, throughout the Caribbean, Central South America, the black man was at the bottom. He said, at that moment, reading Booker T's book, Up From Slavery, all y'all need to read it if you haven't, I came to the conclusion that because they did not exist, I would have to make them. Garveyism is do for selfism. Do for self. So he came to America, met with R.R. Moulton, one of the 38 states speakers, to raise money for the Tuskegee Institute back in Jamaica. Got back to New York, and the New York Pan-Africanists said, whoa, you might want to stay here and do this movement. In Jamaica, Mr. Garvey didn't get far. Why didn't Mr. Garvey, why wasn't he successful in Jamaica, y'all? Because in the Caribbean, you have a color hierarchy that is so complex that it's hard to organize black people because the light-skin supremacy is so complex. What am I talking about? In America, you are either black or white. Period. Now, you might get some advantages if you light-skinned, but you're still with the rest of us. We all African. The white man of America don't have a complex system. You black, you white. Period. It ain't that way in Jamaica. It ain't that way in Cuba, Puerto Rico. They have a hierarchy. There's octoroons, and there's quadroons, and there's mulattoes, and there's Negroes, and it's all based on the amount of white blood you got flowing through your brain, your veins. That's why skin bleaching is so big in the Caribbean. It ain't just self-hatred, brothers and sisters. A lot of brothers and sisters bleach their skin because if I can get a little bit lighter, I might can get into college. If I can get a little bit lighter, I might can get a government job. It's self-hatred, but it's also practical ability. So when Marcus Garvey said, I want to organize all black people into one movement, the light-skinned people, the biracial people, the octoroons and quadroons said, hell no, I'm not organizing with you black man. I get privileges for being this color. Marcus Garvey said, we got to eliminate colorism. The light skin ain't better than the dark skin ain't better than light skin. Some of us still got this problem, don't we? We got light skin supremacy, we got black skin supremacy. I know some brothers and sisters say, I'm black skin supremacy. If you ain't blue, black, purple, you weak. out loud. In my experience, most light-skinned supremacists are not light-skinned, they dark-skinned. Don't look at the light-skinned people. The light-skinned people are often the victims of dark-skinned people's light-skinned supremacy. How we mistreat and ostracize our lighter brothers and sisters because you assume they're going to betray you when some of them might be more true in the struggle than you. Look how light Malcolm X was. John Brown Russell, one of the first great Pan-Africanists, look how light he was. In fact, he was biracial. And what was Marcus Garvey's position on biracial Africans? His position was they was African just like the rest of us. We do not put Africans into groups. We do not practice eugenics. So we got any biracial brothers and sisters here. You African until you start trying to act like you don't want to be. See, my thing with the biracial African is they like to play the color line. I'm going to be black when I'm with the black people, but then I'm going to act like I don't know y'all when I'm with my grandmother. Y'all feel me? My thing is make up your mind. Do you want to live your life as an African or do you want to live your life as a biracial, whatever the hell that is? If you with me, you African. I ain't going to call you no biracial. The reason you want to be called biracial because you're still trying to separate yourself from us. By calling yourself biracial, you think that's a privilege. You will walk with me, you will walk with me as an African. Same thing I tell white women who give birth to black kids. Why are you raising your son as a biracial? Why you ain't telling that boy he African? The boy darker than me. You biracial. Ain't nothing biracial about that boy, he an African. You know why white mothers don't like to tell their black kids that they black? Because they don't want to admit to themselves that they gave birth to a black child. And some of y'all think that whole biracial thing is over with. I got news for you. You're talking to a therapist. I had a woman I used to do therapy with, Irish woman, North Philly. Her mother has never met her 12-year-old beautiful black daughter because the daughter was conceived by a black man, and her mother said, don't you ever bring that into my house. Her mother never met her daughter. I used to date a biracial sister in the Garvey movement back in Philadelphia. Her mother was white. She used to tell me about how her grandmother used to crack jokes and stuff about her and her nappy-headed biracial brothers and sisters. I knew other biracials who told me they would go over their grandma's house for Christmas and all the white kids, all the white grandkids got gifts, and all the biracial grandkids ain't got nothing, and they talking about their big nose and lips and their nappy heads. And y'all talking about we live in post-racial America. You better wake the hell up. Stop donating your melanin to your oppressor.
Really?
Stop donating your melanin to your oppressor. Makes no sense. So Garvey said back then you couldn't even join the UNIA if you was married to somebody who wasn't African. Garvey didn't play that. Now since then the rules have been relaxed a little bit. Somewhat. You can join, but you can't be an officer. Back then you couldn't even join. Garvey said we're not playing them games. In fact, Marcus Garvey personally said what? James Weldon Johnson, the brother who wrote the Black National Anthem, lift every voice. I think he said he was about to marry a white woman. So Garvey called him on. He said, how the hell you run around writing Black National Anthems married to a cracker? Oh yes, some of these people we celebrate, you need to study them. Because some of them wasn't these great freedom fighters y'all think they were. A. Philip Randolph, one of our first great black homosexuals. Brotherhood of the sleeping car porters. He did some good things. But he also tried to destroy Marcus Garvey. They was jealous of Marcus Garvey because he wasn't college educated, and then they tried to hate him because what? He wasn't American born. Now what kind of sick stuff is that? A group of Negro leaders wrote a letter to the United States State Department saying, can you please deport that Jamaican irritant? Did y'all hear that? Negroes went to the government to get a black man kicked out the country. 1922, Marcus Garvey is arrested for using the United States mail to defraud investors in connection with the Black Star Line. They claimed that he was selling stock in a ship he didn't own. Nonsense. He was raising money for a ship that he hoped to own. He was convicted on an empty envelope. It was empty. No evidence in the inside by a man from Philadelphia named Biddy Dancy who claimed he worked for Mr. Garvey. Mr. Garvey said he never seen him a day in his life. The judge that presided over Marcus Garvey's trial was a judge by the name of Judge Mack, a member of the NAACP who couldn't stand Garvey. Even the white lawyer who worked for Garvey said he never seen somebody dealt with such iniquity in the court of justice. He said the case was a total fraud against Marcus Garvey. Total fraud. They were scared of Marcus Garvey. 1917, you got the Negro World newspaper, the most widely circulated black newspaper of all time, the most feared newspaper. If you got caught reading Marcus Garvey's newspaper, did you know you could go to jail or be killed? Let them catch you in Africa with a Garvey paper and see what happened to you. They say this man is trying to free the whole African world. We can't have it. Do you know that white women got their right to vote? White women got their right to vote because of Marcus Garvey. It was white women who petitioned their white officials after they saw that Marcus Garvey had the first black female uniform military wing. African Motor Corps. Black Cross nurses, from where you get the MGT, the Nation of Islam. That came from Garvey. White women went to the state. They said, look at this. You have a Negro who give black women more respect than you give us. The white women finally get the right to vote. 1919, 1920. The height of the Garvey movement. What was, Council on Foreign Relations, 1921. The CFR of the Rockefellers was created to disrupt Marcus Garvey's Africa program. Do your research. Then Marcus Garvey put the Black Star Line ships, first ship named after my ancestor, the SS Frederick Douglass. White folks really got scared. This nigga got shit. That raised the pride of black folks. They said, look, we got our own. White folks had the Titanic, White Star Line, but you couldn't ride in the Titanic if you was black. So Mr. Garvey said, we're going to give black people their own Black Star Line. He didn't know what he was doing. He bought them ships, and them ships didn't work. Nonsense. Captain Cockburn, who Marcus Garvey trusted to help him buy them ships, was an undercover agent for the FBI, who deliberately influenced Mr. Garvey to buy ships that he knew wouldn't work for a long time. Agents inside of us. That's why we got to watch as we organize, y'all. We got to keep an eye on each other. Even Mr. Garvey said it. The UNIA, his organization, infiltrated with undercover agents. Malcolm said it before he died. The Nation of Islam infiltrated with agents. Huey said it. The Panthers infiltrated with agents. This meeting right now infiltrated with agents. It's at least 3 of you in here paying to watch me. This is how it starts. Go and read the Garvey papers. They've been watching Garvey since his first UNIA meeting. Am I wrong? Before he even blew up, they was watching Garvey. They always looking for what Hoover said. The next black Messiah who can ignite the militant black nationalist movement. They said Malcolm might have been such a man, but we killed him. Elijah might have been such a man, but he was kind of old. They always looking for the one to wake up the rest. But they know us. They know the con artists from the real leaders. They know the hustlers from the real organized. They ain't worried about them because they just looking for money. They can let them live. But the people who real, them the ones that they study. They got a psychological profile on everybody. This is how the FBI work. All y'all at my meeting, you know y'all being watched, all you. They got all your license plate numbers right now. They in a lot right now. He said, Dr. Umar, I didn't ride. I brought a skateboard, but they took a picture of that. I'm telling you, this is what they do, y'all. So anyway, in 1920, Marcus Garvey had the first international convention of Negro peoples of the world. They released the groundbreaking document, International Declaration of the Rights of the Negro Peoples of the World. First major constitution put out by an African organization. In that document, Marcus Garvey said that the colors red, black, and green will be chosen to be the colors of the African race. And we got to make sure we don't let white folks use that flag. They were already running around with the Ethiopian flag. What the hell is white folks doing with Ethiopian headbands? That ain't your country. You ain't no Africa. I was watching a Pepsi commercial. I saw Pepsi trying to use the RBG. So you don't let the Pepsi people take that. That's our flag. And the colors is red, black, and green. Red on the top, black in the middle, green on the bottom. Why is red first? Because red represents the blood. Not all of us are purple-skinned Africans. We come in all color, but the blood is African. We got the lightest light to the purplest purple. We come in all colors, and that ain't always due to slavery, brothers and sisters.
That's right.
You had a myriad of colors before slavery. So I'm giving the white man all the credit. We always was color diverse. But blood is first, so the blood goes first. Red is the blood that makes you African, not the skin tone. I know some Africans, you would think they white, they walked in the room. But they Africans. And then black is second because black represents the original phenotype of the African people, which is blue, black, purple skin. The color of the universe from which we get dark matter and the supreme ruler of the universe. That's another aspect of Garvey. Garvey said your God better look like you. That came from Garvey. Elijah got it from Garvey. Garvey borrowed it from Bishop Henry McNeill Turner, who was one of the grandfathers of Pan-Africanism coming out of Georgia in the Reconstruction period. In fact, Elijah Muhammad went to Bishop McNeill Turner Elementary School. That's where he learned about God being black. Remember, Bishop McNeill Turner was the first black chaplain in the United States Army, and he was also the man who called the United States rag, the United States flag, a stinking dirty rag in front of white folks. He had to take a military escort everywhere he went because the Ku Klux Klan wanted him dead. He's a bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Some people call him Marcus Garvey before Marcus Garvey. He was a bad brother. You got to study those Pan-Africanists before Garvey. One of the reasons that Marcus Garvey was able to build so great in America because the groundwork had been laid by those who came before him. We already had Alexander Crummell. Bishop Henry McNeill Turner was here. You had Pan-African Prince Hall. Martin Delaney. The Pan-Africanism was here before Garvey, but Garvey took it and reinvented it. Marcus Garvey did the Pan-Africanism with Michael Jordan, did the basketball. He did the Pan-Africanism with Tiger Woods, did the golf. He did the Pan-Africanism with George Washington Carver, did the science. I didn't invent it, but I reinvented it. So Marcus Garvey goes to jail, 1925. He gets out 1927 because President Calvin Coolidge of the United States commuted Mr. Garvey's sentence, immediate release, because he knew he wasn't guilty. But he never reversed the charges. He just commuted the sentence. To this day, they have Mr. Garvey listed as a convicted criminal when he was not. I actually spoke with his younger son, Dr. Julius Garvey, in Philadelphia back in 2005. We had an exoneration campaign to remove the negative legal stain against Mr. Garvey's name. Finally, it reached Obama. Some of y'all heard about this a couple years ago. The petitions went to Obama. They said, President Obama, cleanse Mr. Garvey's name of those false charges leveled against the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover. What did Obama say?
Better things
I had more important things to do. That's what your president said. He had a chance to clean Mr. Garvey's name with his signature. That House said, I got more important things to do. Obama isn't. You see? So Marcus Garvey gets back to Jamaica. Guess what we found out? He found out that when Calvin Coolidge commuted his sentence, he didn't even require immediate deportation. Marcus Garvey did not have to be sent to Jamaica. But they lied to him and told him that the condition of the commutation of his prison sentence meant you had to leave immediately. Marcus Garvey didn't find out till he was in Jamaica that you didn't even have to leave. They lied to him. But once he was out, they never let him come back. Closest Mr. Garvey ever came was Canada. The last two UNIA conventions during his life. Toronto, right, Brother Minson? That's the closest Garvey ever got to the United States. Montreal. The last two was in Montreal. Last two was in Montreal. Marcus Garvey goes to England. He begins to organize again. He's still President General of the UNIA. Organizing. A lot of the future leaders of the African revolutions would come and learn from Marcus Garvey. Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya said he used to go and listen to Marcus Garvey speak. I think Nkrumah might have had a chance to meet him. I'm not sure. Marcus Garvey was even financing the early stages of African revolutions as best he can from London, England. It still wasn't over after he left America. And then June 10th, 1940, he passed on. We still don't know for certain the circumstances. Some say stroke, some say heart attack. Some say he was poisoned. You know? His death is fishy, just like Khalid Abdul-Muhammad's death is fishy. Mm-hmm. Marcus Garvey and Khalid Abdul-Muhammad was the two boldest black leaders we've had in modern times. And both of them were killed at the same age, 53. Khalid Abdul-Muhammad was 53, Marcus Garvey was 53. Most of our leaders were not dark-skinned. Most of our leaders could pass a brown paper bag test because black people don't follow black-skinned leadership. It's the way it's been. That's why you love Obama, but you hate Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas ain't do nothing Obama didn't do, but why does Obama get worshipped and Clarence Thomas get ridiculed? Because Clarence Thomas is purple and Obama looks like the white man. And you love white people. Supreme Court justice with the white wife.
Well, I mean, he's a Republican Michelle, so I think that people look at his image
I think that. I mean, I know a lot of brothers who call themselves conservative, but they will not support.
I don't give a damn if your wife is black or white. If you selling me out, you's a sellout.
No, I agree.
You follow me? You having a black wife does not exonerate you. I know a lot of house niggas with black wives.
Oh yeah.
That don't mean nothing. I agree with you. Right. But I think it's important that we understand that they're both equally enemies against African people.
Well, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And you with me on that. You know, but I do see where you're coming from. People look at Obama, they look at the surface, and they say, well, guess what? At least he does have a black wife. Maybe there's some surface value. So to anybody who thinks that Obama merely being in the White House adds some sort of value to African self-esteem, show me some evidence over the past 5 years that points to anything improving for black people psychologically or materialistically as a result of his presidency. I can show you that you've been worse under him than every president before him for the past 20 years. The unemployment rate for blacks is worse under Obama than Bush. High school graduation rate, worse. Police brutality, right before your eyes. Right before your eyes. It's gotten worse. But in respect, it ain't all his fault. It's our fault. Because we fell in love with a president instead of holding him accountable. You don't fall in love with politicians. They are dedicated to themselves. Furthermore, Obama was elected on white money. White people gave that man $1 billion. Do you really think a black man financed with $1 billion of white money is going to do anything for blacks? We have to organize ourselves into a political action committee, brothers and sisters. It could even be a political party. But I ain't really too interested in having black faces in high places without the power. What you have to do is use your money and your vote to influence whoever wins. That's how the mafia does it. The mafia ain't voting. The mafia shows up with a suitcase full of money and said, look, we need this law passed. No votes, no politicians, boom. That's how we're supposed to operate. We're supposed to be able to step to the mayor and say, look, mayor, we need this to happen. What will it take for it to happen? Now, if you take this money and you don't deliver, I ain't got to say no more, right, Mr. Mayor? No, this is how you get stuff done. You got to have your money stacked. You got to be able to go to the state rep and say, look, you about to vote on this new bill for education. We need you to vote on that bill. Well, listen, I got 50 right now. 50 grand, but you must vote that way. Boom, go to the next one. I got 50. I got 50. It might take you $1 million to finance that vote, right? To get that law passed. But look how many people you save in the process when your money is organized. We got to be gangster with this, y'all. You don't go through the legal apparatus. Your money will get more done than any law they make. You be able to go to, they pay off judges in America. Do y'all really think they up there decide? They pay them. The business of America is white supremacy and money. We ain't white, so we can't benefit from that, but we can damn sure use our money. We stop spending on all this nonsense stuff. We need to have a big bank account of money. Millions! We find out that somebody trying to sell a smart airport. Oh, for real? Smart airport for sale? Upstate Michigan? How much they sell the smart airport for? Well, he said he wanted $25 million. We got that. Now we got our own airport. You ain't got to fly to DTW. You fly to Marcus Garvey Airport. And then we buy a couple private planes of our own. We can't compete with U.S. Airways and all that, but we can still have something going for ourselves. We got to think nation. Marcus Garvey said you should always be thinking about the furtherance of the people. Marcus Garvey said what? Pray twice a day for your enemies. He said pray twice a day for your enemies. He said write down everything you can because you're going to soon forget. Marcus Garvey said if you got to have money or property, he said keep the money because the money can go with you if you have to move. He says stop wasting all your money just buying stuff. It's better to have a bank account with money than a house full of garbage that won't last after you die. You got to be able to get up and pack and move on to the next location. Got to be able to say, what was Marcus Garvey working on right before he died? The Central Black Bank. He knew that you had to have access to capital. Now, Marcus Garvey was raising a lot of money. He had to open up a black bank, but he was concerned about the future after he died. And what is one thing I respect Marcus Garvey for? He was the only black leader I know. He was the only black leader I know that actually trained the next generation of leaders that was going to replace him. Course of African Philosophy. Some of y'all read the blue and white book, the small blue and white book. Course of this man who many claim was an egomaniac, had the vision to say, you know what? If I want good leaders, I got to train them. He trained a whole class, a whole course on how to run the government of the UNIA. No other leader done that. Most of them was too egotistical and self-centered to groom the next leader. They died with their boots on. And when their replacement came, they had to start all over from scratch. Who was Al Sharpton grooming? Who was Jesse grooming? Who was the minister grooming? Ain't nobody grooming nobody. I'm not going to be here forever. I got to train him so he can take my spot. One day there's going to be a day when I'm going to be so old and frail, you will not even show up to a Umar lecture. You're going to say, you can sit his old ass down. This ain't 2014, it's 2044. Sit down. Why you think we got so many churches? Because when a young brother grows up to be a pastor, he wants to preach, but the main pastor don't want to give him the chance to do no preaching. Y'all know how this go in the church. Brother say, I'm ready to leave. Let me say something. No, brother, this is my church. I've done this before you was born. Who is this young guy to come and take all my work? Sister Bennett, tell him who church this is. This your reverend. Sister Bennett went to, this your reverend. Am I wrong? So he get frustrated, and what does he do? Go start his own church. Now, check it out. He gets to be 30, 40, 50 years old. Another young guy comes up under him. He wants a chance. And guess what he does? He does the same thing to him that I did to him. And so it keeps on going. We ain't got a million churches because we love Jesus. We got a million churches because everybody want to be the damn boss. Before you can leave, you have to be willing to follow. Got to be willing to follow. Marcus Garvey gave us an organization of 15 million. No other organization comes even close. You can put every black revolutionary group since Garvey's time in the same group, and you don't get half of that. In fact, the average black group doesn't even break 250,000. Garvey had 15 million. No cell phone, no internet, no airplane, no cell phone. That's what he did. He started the Negro Factories Corporation to give black people jobs. UNIA had the first butcher, a black butcher, formal butcher in New York City history, in Harlem. They had the Universal Liberty University and the Booker T. Washington College. He had universities. All over the world, there was a Garvey chapter. African National Congress, Mandela's group, they was influenced by the Garveyites. That's why they got two of the colors in their flag, but then the Garveyites broke away because the ANC was integrationist. Patrice Lumumba studied Garvey. All the Amilcar Cabral, Thomas St. Cyr, all the leaders of the African Revolutionary Group studied Garveyism. The Nnamdi Azikiwe of Nigeria, him and Nkrumah went to Lincoln University in Philly together. They was members of the Philadelphia UNIA. Went back to Africa and liberated Africa with Garveyism. But it don't stop there. Mao Zedong took Garveyism and liberated China. Hitler took it and did what he did with the Jews. Even though Garvey wouldn't approve of that, he used Garvey's tactics. Mussolini took Garveyism and did what he did for Italy. Mr. Garvey even sent one of them a telegram. Mussolini so look at you, copying me. Mao Zedong, who was Vietnam? Ho Chi Minh used to go to Garvey meetings and sit in the back and study the UNIA protocol, took it back to Vietnam and liberated Vietnam with Garveyism. And gave credit, by the way. The leaders of the Afghanistan revolution, so influenced by Marcus Garvey that the Afghanistan flag is red, black, green. Lansing, Michigan. How far is Lansing from where we are? Malcolm X's father, Earl Little, UNIA Division Chapter President in Lansing, Michigan, murdered by the murdered by the Ku Klux Klan. Doing work for the UNIA. They put his body on the train tracks and let him cut him in half and then say he committed suicide. Malcolm was a child of the Garvey movement. Mr. Muhammad came out the Garvey movement. Elijah Poole was a member of the Detroit and the Chicago UNIA. The first meetings of the Nation of Islam were in Marcus Garvey's Universal Liberty Hall. And that don't take nothing away from the groups. They did a good work. Mr. Muhammad did a good work. Nation of Islam does a good work. But sometimes we don't like to give credit for who we took our ideas from. Garvey was the first one. The first one. Dr. King, Montgomery Bus Boycott, Montgomery Improvement Association. Where they get the name from? Universal Negro Improvement Association. Even Dr. King was influenced by Marcus Garvey. He was the Marcus Garvey's grave. After Malcolm was killed before his own death, he went to Jamaica. Dr. King said Marcus Garvey was the first significant leader we had to organize black folks. People who was in Dr. King's circle said that Dr. King came back to America after visiting Mr. Garvey's grave, preaching Garveyism. And that's what got him killed, because when you listen to Dr. King after Malcolm's death, it's a whole new Dr. King. Listen to them speeches in 67 and 68. That Dr. King wasn't no lover of white folks. He wasn't pushing integration. That's why they killed him. You think they would have killed him if he was doing what they wanted him to do? So you see that revolutionary line of leadership. Rastafari picked up Marcus Garvey's name and held it up. Because for a while after Marcus Garvey was deported from America, you couldn't say he was a member of the Garvey movement. You lose your job, might get beat up, killed. Because white folks was that. Marcus Garvey's group was the most revolutionary thing in America up to that point. Closest thing you get after that is the Panthers. All them shootouts that the Panthers had with the cops, the Garvey movement had them first. The Universal African Legion, that was the military of the Garvey movement. They had regular shootouts with the Ku Klux Klan in the South. And then people criticized Marcus Garvey for meeting with the Grand Wizard of the KKK. What is he doing meeting with the Ku Klux Klan? How you talk about African race pride meeting with the Ku Klux Klan? Because you don't understand diplomacy in nation. The Garveyites is killing the KKK. KKK killing the Garveyites, fighting each other. So when Marcus Garvey met with the Grand Wizard, he met to do what? Bring about a ceasefire. I don't like y'all and y'all don't like me. But let us come to some terms so your people can live and my people can live. Does America like China? Hell no. But don't they meet with them? It's called diplomacy. That's what you do to save lives. But the boy couldn't understand it. Randolph couldn't understand it. Because they dealing with civil rights when Garvey was dealing with national pride. Garvey was way ahead of his time. People still catching up to Garvey. That's my message to y'all. You got to call yourself the Garveyite, but you got to be Pan-African. If you don't embrace the chessboard, I don't know what solution you got for us as a people, because only those who see this situation in the international context, there's only one solution, as I leave you, for our problems. And that is for Africans in America to take our money and our economics and marry it to the resources of Africa. For us to take our college education, take our income, take our political revolutionary history and invest it into Africa. Imagine if you could put your paycheck in the bank of Nigeria instead of Wells Fargo. What if you could be a dual citizen of the Congo and Michigan? You a citizen of the United States and South Africa. Now, you got a whole new line of credit, don't you? You got a whole new identity, don't you? You can go back home and do it all right this time because you didn't learn how to do it wrong in America. Imagine two passports. You voting in two different democracies. You have a natural right to the land of Africa because you're a citizen now. That's why we fight for dual citizenship, because it will open up the economic opportunity. We're no longer under the jurisdiction of America. We're under the jurisdiction of African nations. I'll leave you with a quote from Mr. Garvey, who said what? Without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. I'll be in London on Marcus Garvey's Earth Day. Possibly, I was asked to play Marcus Garvey in a stage play in Cricklewood, London. If I go, I'm probably going to run a trip to London. For those of y'all who've never been to London, you might want to come with me to London, England, meet your brothers and sisters in London, England. But we also want to go to New York City, because the UNIA ACL, August 1929 in the world, Baba Mensah, my elder, he's the president of the UNIA here in Detroit. I need to get to know him. There's going to be a whole week-long of festivities there to celebrate 100 years of Garvey and Garveyism. Marcus Garvey said, God never intended us to be a race without a nation, and we are not going to abuse God's confidence in us as men. Marcus Garvey was once asked, are you an African or are you a Jamaican? Are you an African or are you a Jamaican? And in response to that question, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the man who gave us the red, black, and green flag, leader of the largest Pan-African movement of all time, the only leader to train his replacements, said, I would never give up a continent for an island. I am an African, yesterday, today, and forever. One God, one aim, one destiny. Ashe, brothers and sisters. Thanks for coming out. Make sure you sign the parent list in the back. Independent Black Parents. you have one of my books and you need me to sign it, bring it on up. DVDs back there, t-shirts there. Gary, Indiana tomorrow. Pontiac, Michigan in May. And I should know within the next week if I'll be moving to Detroit. So make sure you got me on Facebook, Dr. Umar Ifatunde, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, Dr. Umar Johnson. Phone number 215-989-9858. Email drumarjohnson@yahoo. And if you want to work at the school, please send your resume to fdmgresumes@gmail.com. One God, one aim, one destiny.